Hello, everyone. Christina here. Welcome to day 19 of the holiday card series. I have fallen in love with this rainbow wood 6x6 paper pack from Paper Roses, and I cannot bear to cut them apart too much. So I thought it'd be fun to pair those really colorful patterns with some snowflake dies. I'm using the Snow Flurries die set that I designed for our holiday card class over onlinecardclasses.com, and I'm cutting them out of some white glitter foam from Spellbinders. Now, I find that this glitter foam, unless you're super careful, it can sort of warp and stretch intricate die cuts. And since I know these snowflakes are pretty intricate, in order to give them a little bit more stability, I'm going to add some very thin paper to the underside of the glitter foam. In order to do that, I'm using an adhesive sheet from Altenew. Put that onto that piece of glitter foam, and then I'm putting on really thin paper. This is just inexpensive computer printer paper, and I've pressed that on using that adhesive sheet, and then I'm just cutting off the excess. I'm going to use this for all of my snowflake die cutting, and this is the first time I had tried this particular method, and it worked out extremely well, and I had no problem cutting through both the layers of the glitter foam and that very thin printer paper. It worked out really well. So I cut out every single die in the Snow Flurries die set. Worked out really well. Now, if you don't have this die set, but you already have some snowflake dies in your stash, this is a great card design or designs. I did multiples with all of these snowflakes. If you want to use up your snowflake dies, I think it's just super fun. So I first arranged all the snowflakes on my magnetic mat for my Empress sandwich, and then I pressed my glitter foam face down onto the dies and ran that through my die cutting machine. And at first I thought maybe it didn't cut it all the way through, but there was no problem at all. It cut everything beautifully. It took a little bit of time to pop everything out of the glitter foam just because it doesn't come out, it doesn't fall out of the sheet of glitter foam. It kind of stays together. But you can just easily poke that through with a craft pick or safety pin or anything like that. So I went through and popped out all of the cut centers on all of these snowflakes, and look at that really subtle kind of shimmer on that glitter foam. I think it's just so beautiful. And I found that the easiest way to pop these out of the sheet of glitter foam was to do it from the back. So I'm actually poking into that paper instead of the glitter. I kept my dies on my die cutting sandwich, and the way I arranged them, I could just rotate that sheet of glitter foam and then die cut once again. And these pop off those dies really, really easily. For the really tiny little snowflake or little glistening glitter pieces, I put those into a small dish off to the side, and I did save a lot of the circle interiors. After all the snowflakes were cut, I then took my A2 layers dies from Waffle Flower and cut out some pieces of the pattern paper for my card fronts. I made these just slightly smaller than an A2 card, so I didn't use the full A2 die size. I did just slightly smaller. And at first I only cut out 2 of these pieces of pattern paper. I thought I would only make 2 cards. So I started to adhere the pattern paper onto the card bases. I even placed my snowflakes onto these 2 card fronts, still in my head thinking I'm only making 2 cards. But as I started putting them together, I realized that I wanted to have some of these card designs be very, very simple with only one large snowflake on the card, and then these smaller little glistens and little circle dots and outline circles. I wanted those to be on the outside of the snowflakes. So because I was doing very simple card designs like this and letting that pattern paper really show, not covering it up with the snowflakes, I realized I had a lot of extra snowflakes already die cut. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go back and cut more of all of these pattern papers, and then I'm going to make as many cards as I can. So after I glued on all of these foam pieces, which worked out great, the paper on the back of the foam snowflakes worked out beautifully. So after I did all of the adhering of the snowflakes, I actually went back to the pack of pattern paper and I cut out 3 more patterns to use on some cards. And then I placed the snowflakes on the centers of these cards and then eventually started adhering everything down. I wanted to have one of the card designs have a big cluster of snowflakes, and then another one would have a row of 3. And then essentially for the third one with the really large snowflake, I just recreated the same card design that I did for one of the previous cards. Put some dabs of glue on the back of each one of these snowflakes, and then put them directly onto the card base. And after I pressed each one of these down with the glue, I did cover it with a paperweight. I'm now using the Love, Peace, Joy sentiment strips from Simon Says Stamp. These are the reverse ones, so it's printed black with white letters. I used my Tim Holtz mini trimmer to trim these down into some smaller strips and then cut them apart and started to kind of divvy them up amongst each one of the cards. Now, to make these look a little bit more finished, I like to take a black brush tip marker, this one's from Altenew, and just paint the white edges of these sentiment strips. You can see how it makes them look like it's actually printed white letters on black cardstock. I think it finishes off these sentiment strips really, really well. It's just one of those added details that you probably could skip if you wanted to, but I think it gives it a very finished look. For a couple of these, the greetings would be hanging off the edges of the snowflakes. So I did put a little bit of foam adhesive just on those outer edges. And then I put some liquid glue. I'm using that same honeybee glue that I've used for the snowflakes. And I just squiggled that all the way across the greeting so that wherever it comes in contact with the snowflake, it would adhere all the way down to the card. Added a few more little glisten snowflakes to that trio of snowflakes. And then here I am with 5 finished cards. I think this is so fun. The foam really makes these snowflakes stand up and gives them a little bit of weight to their design. I think these cards are simple and I think they're just beautiful, especially with the glittery texture from the glitter foam. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll be back on Monday with day 20 of the Holiday Card Series, and I will be back at home ready to go live. So come back and join me on Monday night at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and we're going to be creating day 20 of the Holiday Card Series live. Come and join me. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.